click is ETG. Eat the goose. Eat the goose. Yeah,
Introducing the 2 racks a week challenge.
Don't shoot. Which I need some proof. Just watch my videos, man.
Video and then,
2 racks
you
a
just
week.
showing all your 2,500. I said, okay. All right, that's me with that.
68 hours, so it was $2,075.60.
I work like 70, I don't remember, like 73, 74 hours. I made like 3,400, close to 3,500.
I made $2,001.
62 hours, and I had 2,400.
Introducing the 2 racks a week challenge.
Alrighty. Man, what's going on, people? Drum roll. Guitar. Piano. Ronnie Speed coming back. Man, y'all know what time it is here. We have another winner of the 2 racks a week challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome and introduction to Archie. Archie, tell them exactly what market you're driving in and which platform do you drive on?
Right, Uber and Lyft. I think the main one is normally Lyft, but this past week Uber surpassed Lyft. But mostly Lyft.
Okay.
I do them both.
Okay, Uber and Lyft.
100%.
And how much did you make that week where you made $2,000?
I made, on the app, I made $2,050, and off the app, I probably made about $500 in cash for that week.
So I see the screenshots. Oh, it was on Uber and Lyft, so you multi-app.
Yeah, multi-app.
So it looks like within both apps, it was what, 85 hours, 86 hours? About 85 and some change?
If I look at mine, bear with me 1 second here. I have a paid subscription to Gridwise, so that combines everything. And if I want to look at last week, I can tell you how many hours. Now, keep in mind, Ronnie, I have to drive 1 hour south to my market where I'm not getting paid anything. And I drive back home when I'm done with my shift for an hour, not getting paid anything, and that's also included. So in that prior week, I drove 70.8 hours for a total of $2,057, when my actual work, because I only work 5 days a week, 5 times 2 hours going there and coming back, 10 hours of it is non-productive time, only except as productive to get me down there and back. So it's really, that $2,057 was made on 60.8 hours.
Okay.
But I've only done, in that case, I did 98 trips. 98 trips. Normally I do about 74.
So you did 98, normally you do 74. All right. Not too shabby. So, yeah, I know you mentioned earlier, like a lot of things happen as far as, you getting paid 91 cents per mile, and then, the company started to decrease your earnings by 33%. What type of, mindset did you go into, I guess overcoming those type of obstacles? Because a lot of people will get discouraged and then it's not even worth it, or they'll just complain. Like, what made you just keep wanting to go, or readapt to these situations?
Good question. Thank you. So I enjoy driving. I worked in a semi-corporate environment from home for 8.5 years, managed my own time rather well, QA'd on the phone, top 3 in the company. Prior to that, restaurant management experience of 15 years, roughly 60 employees under me. I can tell you that when I drive, I can see the daylight, the nighttime skies. Thank God for the very moment that I'm breathing, enjoying the freedom of not having high blood pressure or anything like that that you get from a job that someone's over you, demanding of your time. You know, I'm free of all that. So my blood pressure is even and consistent, and I enjoy driving. So those two go hand in hand with my, past supervision experience and military and all that. I feel that I can manage my time rather well.
Okay. Damn. It looks like your camera is frozen.
Yeah, and yours too. I'm so sorry.
No, no worries, no worries. Oh, there you go, there you go. You're back.
Cool.
All right. Sounds good. So I just have a couple questions. If you could describe your journey to you making $2,000, aka 2 racks a week, in one word, what would that word be, and why?
I believe if understanding comes to mind, you have to have discipline in
Mm-hmm.
order to make things happen. You have to have the discipline to make things happen. You can either get up out of your bed one day and say, I'm going to get out of the bed on the right foot and I'm going to tackle this day for what it is, or you can lay in bed and wallow in why you feel the way you feel about passengers and all this, negative stuff that you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't allow it in my life. Ever since I've been an Uber, you start off as an Uber and Lyft driver, you're like, okay, I'm picking up strangers and they're going into my car. And,
Right.
you know, you don't know how to meet and greet unless you've had that experience before. And I've
Mm-hmm.
had all that already. So I felt comfortable, you know. Um, I've enjoyed it the whole time, but I never really, even though I claimed I did it full time, I wasn't making full time money. The market, it was the market, the Uber and Lyft's games, and the type of vehicle you drive all playing a factor.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to, like I said, I was driving a Mercedes-Benz Metro 6-passenger van,
Mm-hmm.
93 octane in gas. My gas costs were
Mm-hmm.
I went to the Chevy Suburban, and instead of paying 25% of my gas costs out of the money I've made, I dropped it down to 15%. Buying the Suburban, dropped it down to 15%. So I captured 10% from there,
Mm-hmm.
um, just in lower gas costs. Um, Depreciation, I bought it specifically for this. When you talk about depreciation, and how you say it's funny, appreciation. My van I bought for this specifically. This truck I bought specifically for Uber and Lyft. I love it that much, and now that I'm in the higher tiers, I don't have to worry about the false reporters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about uncleanly people. Being in the higher tiers, people are like, "Oh, don't go out and buy your first, vehicle brand new if you're just starting out." I totally get it. If you're just starting out, you probably shouldn't do it, but
Yeah.
I did it both times. I did it both
Okay.
times.
All right. Yeah, yeah. Let's stay on that topic as far as like depreciation and running numbers. Some of the I guess pushback that I receive is a lot of people say, "Well, how much did you have for expenses?" And you got to factor in depreciation, and all that stuff. Like, what is like once you're driving, like what is your main focus? Is it to make money, or how do you approach driving? Because once I'm driving, my main focus is to make $2,000. Like that is my goal. I really don't focus on like depreciation, just because I got a 10-year-old car, so it's like it's already depreciated when I got it. Had close to 100,000 miles. So how much money am I really losing from my depreciation? Like, how do you approach this?
So
Hmm.
I do the numbers. I've drawn out spreadsheets and everything like that nature. So whenever you have a tire rotation, whenever that costs you money, whenever you have brake repair and
Hmm.
it costs you money, I figure if your brakes are going to last you 65,000 miles, divide 65,000 miles that you haven't driven yet
Hmm.
into the price of the brakes and the costs. I mean, I like to go to discount places online and order them ahead of time and have them ready for replacement when the time comes. Because most OEM manufacturing dealerships say they won't install your parts, have to install theirs bullshit. So I hire a private independent contractor who works on GM and Chevy vehicles to have them install my brakes, and I know they're certified. And
Okay.
I pay 50% less for them. But I write down the true cost, and every time I drive a mile, that cost is included in my total miles, including gas costs. And my operating expenses are around 23.7 cents to run my K1500 Chevy Suburban
Okay.
2023, about 23 cents. So I won't go off for Uber X. You know, quick math is if you have to go pick somebody up 6 minutes just to drop them off 6 minutes, and it was a 61 cent per mile ride, you're really only making 30 cents.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. So my
Okay.
minimum tier level acceptance is $1.44 per mile.
Okay.
So I mean, I get as many ride requests as you do for Uber X. I'll have to sit around and wait a while for it. But in the meantime, I'm watching videos from Ronnie Speed.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm watching videos from Vinny Cuz.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jay Z, Uber Jay Z. Uh, I enjoy my time that I have to relax because those rides are going to come anyway as long as I make myself available. And most people are part time, right? They
Yeah.
say they are, but you know, you're not going to make any money unless you make yourself available.
Mm. Yeah, and I agree with that. Like you definitely have to make yourself available, and you way more like intricate with the numbers than I am. I guess a lot of people appreciate that. I'm just not, that person. And I'm just, get shit done,
You're
make
making money.
people
You don't
go.
have to worry about that because it all
Yeah.
comes in and you get your tax write off. If you have to go a distance to pick someone up just to drop them off, you decide to be charitable. You're getting a tax write off anyway. I never begrudge any of that. I used to take every single ride that was requested of me until Upfront Fares came. And then when
Right.
that came and I realized what they were doing, I quit working for Uber for 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to have my little protest.
Okay.
And that was before I bought the Suburban. I took off 3 months from Lyft. I was at home semi-retired,
Okay.
and I decided to buy a brand new car for my wife, a 2022 Honda Accord Hybrid Sport,
Mm-hmm.
and she's retired. And
Okay.
figured the best way to pay for that is with the 2023 Chevy Suburban.
Okay. Damn, man. So you retired and came back out here, and even like the screenshots that you showed me, like you still putting in hours. So how old are you?
58.
58. So how is it that you're 58 and you still are able to, put the work in, and when a lot of people see, a bunch of these hours, like, and they get discouraged, oh, that's too many hours, or not everybody could do it, or like, what do you think about like, do you think or and believe those are excuses, or how do you view that?
Okay, so good question there too. I used to think I was putting in a lot of hours for just a couple $100, and that seemed ridiculous. But a couple $100 was okay for me, uh, and that's what I was willing to accept. I'm losing
Oh, can you hear me?
you. Now I can.
Okay,
It broke
okay,
up.
all right.
There we go. So yeah, what happened was I had to figure out, you know, if if I'm going to work 6 months out of the year during season,
Mm-hmm.
and then take 6 months off out of the year and be with the wife, can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what drove me to work as hard as I'm working.
Okay. Yeah. See, I like that, and that's somewhat like a like you had a vision, like, okay, if I'm gonna work 6 months and take 6 months off, how much money do I need to make? How many hours I need to put in, and and that's kind of like similar to the message I preach. A lot of people, they DM me and ask me questions. I live in such and such city and state. Do you think I can make $2,000? How much money you think I can make? But it's like I don't know. I don't live in your market, so I try to when I give advice, and I try to give advice that's most practical for most people that's in different markets. So, like I always say, if you really want to figure out how much money you can make in your market, the best and most objective way you can find out is to do 84 hours. I know people not gonna do that, and that sounds crazy to a lot of people, but that is the only way you can learn your market.
That's true. That's
Mhm.
exactly, it's funny you brought it up because I was going to say that would
Mhm.
inherently let you know that I watched your video because that is what you said. And if people would just think about it, it's true.
Mhm.
It's true. With me and my wife, I mean, it's just me and her. So she understood that I was going to be spending more time out there, Wednesday through Sunday.
Mhm.
And then I'll have the Monday and Tuesday off with her. But
Mhm.
in order for me to make the $2,000 a week, I've got to be out there.
Mhm.
So I find that is true. 84 hours would be enough for them to determine when the best times to drive would be. I
Yep.
recommend they take a day off, at least one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two,
Absolutely.
I take two. I take two.
Mhm.
But I try to get $400 to $500 a night every night on the 5 days that I work
Mhm.
to more than cover gas costs, more than cover everything else. And it's been working out
Yeah.
because I've been making myself available. So I will continue to do that.
Yep. See, another person. See, he agrees with me, and but to me, it's not even about the money. I mean, yeah, the money is cool, but the my point is, if you, like I said, if you want to figure out how much you can make, do the 84 hours, but also the person who you transition into in the process, that's more important. I truly believe most people who transition into this, they probably haven't even worked 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week. And most people are lazy. Like, let's be honest, most people are lazy and they think if they transition to this, oh, I could be my own boss and I could work when I want and I have the flexibility. But then it's hard for a lot of people to transition in doing this because it's everything is on them and they have to rely on themselves. So when I say drive 84 hours to see how much money you can make, yeah, it's like one, you're getting your confidence up. You proving to yourself that you could come up with a goal and you could actually achieve it. That's number one. Number two is you get to learn your market. So now you could test it over and over again if you choose to. I mean, most probably won't, but that's how I started. I'm like, okay, if I really want to figure out how much money I can make out here, only way possible is I have to test it over and over again and do the maximum amount of hours. So even on holidays, when it's slow at different times, you got to approach it like you are a scientist. And the more you start to drive at different times and you consistent with hours, the more you start to learn about your market. And also, that eventually over time is like, okay, I know I could start at this time and still make approximately however much money that you set for yourself, regardless it's 300, 400, plus dollars. That's up to you to figure out. Then you could start using those habits and start to, develop and do something else on the side. So what do you think about that? As far as gaining those habits so you could become, self-reliant and be disciplined and stick to like hitting your goals and transition that into other things in life.
It's funny. Um, in 1995, an idea had come to me by the grace of God.
Mm-hmm.
It turned into three darling internet companies worth trillions of dollars
Okay.
stolen. So I won't mention their names.
Mm-hmm.
Filed my lawsuit in December of 2001, day after Christmas. I had no attorney, so I couldn't get the help I needed in order to fight the case. I did it all on my own, was dismissed by the judge twice
Mm-hmm.
without prejudice. And believe me, many things I said in there could have been taken prejudicially.
Mm-hmm.
I was very fortunate the judge let it go twice. And I wasn't willing to bring it up a third time to have the guy sue me so that I'm working for the rest of my life paying his bills.
Right. Right.
So I let it go 26 years ago. It's been eating me up like crazy. Getting out of the house and meeting people again, doing Uber and Lyft was my saving grace, if you will.
Mm.
It really was. So takes money to make the world go round. I find that nobody is willing to pay me more than I am through Uber and Lyft currently. And if there's a side hustle, I take that. And if another company decides to come in and blow up their doors, I'm good with that too.
Yeah.
But I know that something good is going to come around the corner, and that those people that work hard and stick to it and keep the faith and do what they're doing, they should have a prosperous end of 2023. It's going to be good.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree with that. People have to keep in mind it's a lot of, uh oh. Guess he got dropped out. All right, we are back.
Oh my goodness.
All right, we are back. We are back.
So I'm a spiritual individual. There's a lot about me that tells me there is something out there because I've acknowledged it at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've welcomed it, most people grow out of it by the time they're 9 to 13 years old.
Yep.
I was able to recognize what it was and harness it.
Mm.
And so I had that I can reach into, and it's what gives me my insights, the very thing that I come from.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect everyone as my brother, as my sister in real life, because we all come from that place. And people struggle, we all struggle.
Yeah.
But, we can work harder and work smarter and put in the hours to learn our markets. And then the money comes, and you're right. You can't tell them that they're going to make $2,000, but at the same time, they're not going to know unless they go out there and do it 84 hours.
Right.
So they have to do it. Otherwise, they're not going to get it. And
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, because from what I've learned, over the few years of talking to thousands of people, especially, people who used to drive, ex drivers, a lot of people make excuses. They don't hold themselves accountable, and they don't, keep it as objective as possible. It's been times where I'm, helping other drivers, coaching them, and just excuses. Oh, it's too much competition out there. Excuse here, excuse there. Then you just pull up their earnings. You like, okay, this week you didn't drive at all. This week you drove 19 hours. This week you didn't drive. It's like, what have you been doing? Like you haven't been doing anything. So most people,
Yeah, like I said,
unfortunately, are lazy.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's true. And key to the part where, it's oversaturated, yeah, the app can only show you 7 others and yourself in any given area.
Mm-hmm.
When I say to them, what if there's really 24 to 36 of them out there? And what happens if we're in a recession, and truthfully we are, and so forth, and what's going to happen when people are laying off, like Google, 10,000
Yep.
execs, and people are going to wind up becoming Uber and Lyft drivers, like they said, forewarning people. They're going to be doing that, and they're going to be doing that in the vehicles that they have. Uber X is going to get really full. What are you going to do then?
Yeah.
I believe that I should jump ship and build my new Noah's Ark, if you will, and that would be the Suburban.
Okay. Excel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Premier. You're getting Premier SUV, Premier and Premier SUV, the higher end Uber clientele. If there's no Uber Black, the way to get around regulations is by offering Uber Premier and Uber Premier SUV. That way, you still don't need to get a CDL, and you still don't have to have commercial plates and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. So Uber Premier and Uber Premier SUV are what I run on the Uber platform. And on the Lyft platform, I do the Lyft Lux Black XL, Lyft Lux Black,
Mm-hmm.
Lyft Lux. Lux is, lucky to get me. And Lyft XL, they're lucky to get me.
Okay.
Because I want to know time and distance at all times. And I find that in my markets, Lyft is paying me to go get the customer and to drop them off. So I can either add up the minutes or add up the miles, and the pay makes sense every time.
Okay.
There's no reason to reject it. And the second thing I've noticed with Lyft XL customers is they appreciate your service.
Mm.
Or if you get an Uber XL customer, oh my gosh, they don't deserve the vehicle they're in. They don't.
Mm.
They don't. You get a bad rating. You could get a bad rating from an Uber XL customer riding in a Suburban, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So I do Uber Premier SUV, and I do Lift Flex, Lift Flex Black, Lift Flex Black XL, and Lift XL. So
Hmm.
I get plenty of rides, and I don't have to work. I don't have to do 184 trips. I
Right.
just do 74 to 90 instead of doing 184. I put half the miles on, and because I am ordering the higher tier rate, $1.44 or higher,
Hmm.
by the time I'm done driving to my market and back empty with no money, my dollars per mile is higher than it would be if I were doing UberX.
Okay. Damn, you got it all figured out. So.
Well, honest to God, no, the way I see it is I get paid better than a truck driver.
Hmm.
I can drive a nicer looking truck, not having to be responsible for that 53-foot long bed behind me.
Hmm.
You know, go home to my wife every
I
single
was about
night.
to say, and you could go home. Yeah, because I think a
Every
couple of
single
truck
night.
drivers. Yep. I had a
Yeah,
couple.
so I get paid better than they do.
Okay.
And that's
Yes.
the way I see it.
Yeah. Good. Good. So for the new drivers, who's thinking about doing this, obviously you experience not only with the numbers, but life experience and being on both platforms. What are like three things as far as forms of advice that you would recommend them?
The the first is don't be discouraged by what everyone else is telling you.
Mm.
You're the captain of your own ship.
Hmm.
You're your own motivation. Nobody else is going to motivate you more than your need for money.
Yep.
If you need to get out there and work and make the money, you can do it. You just got to stop with all the excuses and just do it.
Hmm. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's pretty much half the battle. I think most people problems are is their mindset. You know, it's the stories that they one tell themselves, or if they on the internet and they doing research either on Google or on YouTube and they see other content creators, regardless if they driving not. A lot of it is negative and discouraging. So they're like, "Oh man, I'm not gonna do this. It's not worth it." Or somebody have a comment saying, "Oh, Uber is a bum job." If you a bum, I'm like, "What?" But yeah, like you have to get out there and make it happen. Nobody's going to fix your life, man. And you
When
have.
you talk about the bump
Hmm.
situation, right? We
Hmm.
talk about how they treat you like a bum. A lot of it is us worried about what other people think.
Yeah,
And we
that's
don't
true.
need to worry about what other people think. However, because we're in the business of catering to the consumer, customer
Customer service.
service,
Hmm.
that's what we do. Um, I like to, like I said, show up in that Chevy Suburban. Bam. You know, this says respect me.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it does. That car, you know, that car, and I tell you, luxury, comfortable. If you're gonna sit in something all day long, why not sit in something with real leather seats?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I love it. I love it, and I believe that, strangely enough, you can be who you are, and most of the time, I don't have trouble customers. I don't.
Yeah, me either.
People complain about it, and I'll hear their experiences on it. I'm like, if you want to tell me, I'm all ears.
Hmm.
Really sorry to hear that happen to you. Driving a car where the shocks were no good,
Hmm.
and they bumped and they hit their head up on the ceiling and back on their ass back on the chair. I mean, people drive with no inside doors.
Hmm.
I hear these stories. I'm like, I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's crazy how a lot of people, they do not care. And I want to touch upon like that whole, just pretty much being yourself and don't worry about what other people think. This is not, a bum job, man. You got the opportunity to be self-reliant for once in your life. It's all on you. You get to wake up whenever you want, drive however long you want. So you got to be self-determined, self-motivated. And let's look on a opposing side. Let's say if you weren't, driving Uber and Lyft, what will you be doing? Like, how many other jobs out there could pay you, the income or, that you can make from driving? Let's say even if you don't make $2,000, what if it's like 14, 15, 1600 in a week? How many jobs can you get that can pay that? And also the time that you spend there, what are you learning? Most people there at jobs, they just going day by day just to get a paycheck. But the whole process, like who are you becoming in the process? I'm big on that. Like, what are you learning? Who are you
Hmm.
becoming? And most people, when they're at the job, they sit there, bunch of what they call it, water cooler chatter. They just talk about sports and dumb stuff, and they don't really grow. They don't really learn anything. They just get there, get the check, they complain, and they out. So everybody have gripes, regardless of what job, what industry they're in. A lot of people are already unhappy. So, you know, it's the same with this, man. It's up to you to figure it out. And if you're not happy, you don't like it, do something else. Because the way I believe is like, I
Right.
don't have time to try to focus on what Uber and Lyft is taking and doing and the changes that they make. I always focus on, all right, my goals, what I'm trying to do outside of driving. That's all I think about, you know I don't plan on driving for long, so I really don't care.
And like I say, I don't mind driving.
Hmm.
Like I said, I paid everything off. I paid everything off and started all over, like I said, buying her car, buying my vehicle. And so my goal is to work enough where I can make a year's worth amount in 6 months' time and take 6 months off
Okay.
during the non-season. Beyond that, buying more land in Okeechobee. With the low number of people living here, there's so much opportunity to invest.
Mm.
So my mind is thinking on
Okay.
development within the city, and long term for myself. Um, and so yeah, I buy silver, I buy gold,
Hmm.
and in some stocks,
Hmm.
and enjoying what the hell I'm doing right now while it lasts. I mean, wake up whenever I want, go to work whenever I want, come home whenever I want, do whatever I want, and I'm very thankful and blessed every single day.
Yeah, I like
I don't
that.
take advantage of anybody. I don't want to be taken advantage of, that kind of
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah, and that's pretty much how I view life. It's like I'm thankful, I'm grateful. It's like I could be doing something else much worse, and be around a bunch of negative people. I think people really don't value like their solitude, like their own thoughts. It's like if you around people who's unhappy, especially in the work environment, and it just become a disease. And that time spent there, you can't get that time back, man. You cannot get that time back. So I like being my own space, setting goals, and reaping the benefits from doing this. And it started years ago when I had like a vision for myself of the things that I wanted to accomplish and what exactly I could do with this opportunity from driving. I was always planning ahead, thinking what else I could do, what I want to do long term, asking myself questions. And I think, too many people don't spend that time, on themselves. You know, it's easy to sit up here, get on the internet, and complain, about a company, especially if you don't really show receipts or numbers or proof. You just talking like everything. Like, dang, like show us something. Like what are you doing about it? Like show us something to make it, you know, more believable, more predictable, or whatever the case may be. But I just, I got one question before we get up out of here. How do you think people could benefit from doing this 2 racks a week challenge?
Well, if I can use the word accountable, and
Mm.
so accountable is just as as a nail on the head as disciplined.
Hmm.
Um, they're not going to get it if they don't want it,
Mm.
and they're not going to go out there and do it if they thought that it was easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy to spend the time that you need to spend to get what it is that you want, but then you have to ask yourself, do you really want it?
Mm.
So I
Yep.
would say to those that want it, go for it and get that 2K and stop making excuses. And to those that don't want it, keep to yourself. All
Yeah,
those damn texts and shit that people put in these, they don't, they're ex-drivers, you know.
yeah. I like that,
If
and
you
I.
want it,
Mhm.
you have to go for it. That's what I did. That's what you do. That's what everyone else that wants it has done.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
they got to
and
get
and
that
you're
back.
right. And yeah, you're right. Hold yourself accountable, and if you want to go out there and get it, if you don't, then that's fine too. Nobody's forcing you. Like people act like I'm putting a gun to their head and tell them that they have to do it. You don't have to do it. The choice is yours. Either you can make
That's
the
right.
decision to do it, and you can make the decision, not to do it. But I truly believe, a lot of people they don't set any goals at all. Like I don't think most people set no type of goals. So for once in your life, set a goal, man. Set a goal to try to make $2,000, or or if you don't, or at least try your best, man. If you could work, let's say 70 hours, that's still applaudable because it's like, damn, you work damn near double than most Americans, and like you to some degree you tried, and that's respectable. Just at least try, get out there, set a goal, and see what you can make. See what your market is about. See for yourself if you could break some of those myths, because everybody got a talking point and just talk. Because once I got out there and put on myself and start driving, all these crazy hours, then I start to like open up. But man, most people don't know what they're talking about. It's just talk, like in theories, like no real experience, no real experience. It's just everybody just talking. It's easy to talk, man, but it's hard to do. It's hard to take action. You know.
It's funny because I was just thinking, and then I may have lost track. Oh, the people that are out there and they look at the passenger app and they see all those other drivers out there and they get disingenuine by that.
Hmm.
Again, um, used to tell my wife if she says you're not making any money, you might as well come home. I said, no, I'm going to hang out here and put in the hours because that's
Hmm.
generally when the money comes.
Yep.
And sure enough, after I told her I was staying out there, 70, $80 ride, $90 ride,
Yep.
$140 ride. And I said, see what I would have missed if I had
Yep.
come home? It would have been easy for me to do. Like,
Hmm.
you're right, honey, we pack up my tail and I'll come right on home, you know? But no, the money's out there. There's just plenty of excuses not to go and get it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You have the freedom to do it, you have the freedom not to do it. And, unfortunately, most people would take the path of least resistance and not do it. You know,
Yep.
like it was times where I start driving like in the morning and it's slow. I'm like, dang man, it's slow. I'm like, I'm not at nothing. Then before you know it, you start getting some good trips, and it ends up, averaging out. I'm like, damn, I started off slow, then, but I end up having, a pretty successful day. Like, and
And time
that's when the
flies. You're
experience, yeah,
looking, yeah,
and that's where
yeah.
experience come in. Like you actually being out there overriding, the stuff that you were telling you like, oh man, I'm about to just go home. But then when you go home, what are you gonna do at the house? Like more than likely nothing productive because you're not gonna,
No, nothing productive. Exactly.
yeah.
You watch TV, garbage. But the other thing is, you don't have to keep driving. A lot of people, my first 2, 3 years, I think I drove. I was driving everywhere, even when I didn't have a ride.
Hmm.
But in most cases, from my experience, you can be 1 minute away, you can be 20 minutes away. You're going to get a ping from either Uber or Lyft, no matter where you're at. So you don't really have to drive
Hmm.
everywhere. But I use Gridwise because it tracks every mile that I do drive, like going
Okay.
to work is 60 miles one way. It's tracking all of that, plus what I call repositioning. So if I know that, like, Ocean Boulevard or Palm Beach is going to be the busiest, I may be driving all the way into Jupiter and then waiting in Jupiter for a little bit to get a ride back down to Palm Beach. I don't drive
Okay.
all the way down there. But if I
Mhm.
chose to, it's still getting written off by both Uber and Lyft at the end of tax season because I'm repositioning into a market that's
Mhm.
making me money. And all
Absolutely.
that accountable at the end of the week is $1.04 per mile, totally driven. I gotta say that's better than what a trucker makes.
Mm.
But yeah,
That's
2 racks a week is my goal, and I'm already at I sent you a screenshot on my
Yeah, yep. Let me
on
find
my
it.
app here. Yeah, that I was at for the month, $5,848 for the month and 206 hours. There's
Okay.
another 800. There's another $850 in cash that's not seen to go with those hours. So that's really $6,700 in 3 weeks.
Not too
I'm
shabby.
working on 8K.
Yeah, man. See, that's what, man. See, man, I love that, man. I really do.
It looks nice
Because
in the bank, man.
yeah, that's how I look at it. I try to simplify it as for most people, because I believe if a lot of people try to break down every numbers. I mean, one, you got to be good at math, and two, it could be discouraging for a lot of people, and I think it could put them in a negative headspace, and they get discouraged. Well, I don't want to do it; it's not worth it. But simplify it, man. At least simplify it for right now. Put the hours in, because only thing that's gonna matter is once you get paid. Once you get paid that
Right.
following week, and you see a two, a comma, and three zeros, you're gonna be happy. Especially if you come in from, like a regular job, warehouse job, or whatever the case may be. And when you could double, triple, sometimes even quadruple your income if doing something else, and that's life changing for a lot of people. It really is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really is.
So I appreciate you your shirt, your your mindset that you're using here. That and all the people I've seen on the videos that you've introduced, also, I appreciate them also. I think they know what it took to put that in. You had said 42 winners last year. You're looking to have
Yeah,
more this
42.
year.
Yep. So you the second one for this year, so that's 44. So I'm hoping by the end of this year we could get close to 100 or 100. That would be that's that's my goal. I want
It'd be
100
nice to
people.
see some other people really put their time into it.
Yeah.
They use the excuse, including their wives. I had to tell
Mm.
mine, no, I'm going to be out on the road more often. So what do? I got a blink camera in my truck so she can see me while I'm driving and we can communicate
Okay.
while I'm working. And it's also for security, right? So she can see everyone in the vehicle. In case
Hmm.
someone wanted to do a Habib and cut my neck off, at least she could
She can
see who
see
they
it.
are. Yeah,
And identify them. And that's true, man. A lot of people do try to use their wives as excuses. Like, I
they
know a
do.
guy. He was trying to do that. I'm like, man, look, your wife isn't working. It's all on you. You can't. You don't have the luxury of just staying
That's
home
right.
4 or 5
That's
days a
right.
week, only driving 19 hours. It's gonna end
No,
bad. It's going to
that's right.
end bad.
That's
Your
right.
whole marriage is gonna crumble. So you got to get out there, put the work. No excuses, man. Because
Exactly.
he did.
And the headspace is bad, but it's listening to you, having something for people like them watching you. I find that to be a blessing. So I want to thank
Thank
you
you.
for putting yourself out there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is just a beginning, ladies and gentlemen. So any last words before we get up out of here, before we close it?
I'm a guinea pig, man. You
Hmm.
gotta try to go to a black XL guy and ask him to tell you his secrets and where the best spots are, and you know what the kind of answer you're gonna get. I
Hmm.
had to go out there and do it for myself. I
Hmm.
started off trying to work just Friday and Saturday nights to see if that would make it. And for me, it didn't. It just wasn't enough. And so after about a month and a half of trying that, I decided to go full boat. Like you said, get the app to kick you off.
Hmm.
And so I worked it until Lyft said you can't drive no more because Uber don't care. Uber, if you're not driving, and you have the app off, or if you're sitting in a spot, you're not dinged for that. Lyft dings you for that.
Mm.
So I try to use Lyft for all the more profitable time frames,
Hmm.
and I use Uber as a filler in between. And I use them both 24/7, so I choose them both. Yeah. No, no real last words. Just get it right. Go out there and get it. Work your 84 hours and get it. Stop making excuses.
Exactly. You heard it from a veteran. I'm gonna say one last words before I get up here. Yeah, stop making excuses, man. Like, test it. You won't. What's the worst that can happen? Oh, you make the most money possible. You'll be a little tired, but it's like now you know what you're capable of, and that's the most important thing. And you know what your market is capable of doing. And if you don't do it, I got a question for you. What are you spending your spare time doing? Because people say, "Oh, work-life balance," or you won't have time, to do anything if you drive that much. That's absolutely not true, man. That's not true. Because I was really, working 84 hours. I was still doing everything possible. I was, working 84 hours, still like, writing down goals, planning for this moment right here, still dating. So you got you could do everything you need to do. You just probably gotta get better at time management, but stop making excuses, man. Because excuses is probably more than likely the reason why you are at where you're at in life right now. On that note, I want to thank you, Archie, for coming on, sharing your knowledge. Shout out to you, another winner of the 2 racks a week challenge. Until next,
Congratulations to me.
yeah,
Congratulations to you.
congratulations. Yeah, shout out to the South Miami, well, South Florida area, I should say.
Yeah.
And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, holla back.
Racks a week. Ronnie Speed. Yeah, Ronnie Speed. 60 hours.